are sinners, not worthy to be called by the name God, but we are sure that when we ask for forgiveness, God, you'll always grant us one. Father, I ask that you may forgive us this hour, so that that which we are going to speak to thy people, they may receive it and change their lives. Bless us as we begin until the end, for this is my humble prayer in Jesus' name. Today we are going to have a sharing from the book of Nehemiah. And I just want to give us a brief history or a brief story about the man of God called Nehemiah. We are told that, or from the book of Nehemiah, no information is given about this man of God, about his youthful age. We only come to meet Nehemiah as an adult serving in the Persian royal court as a personal cupbearer to the king Artaxerxes. When we hear about a cupbearer to the king, basically this was the most trusted individual or the most trusted person to the king. Because being a cupbearer, this is somebody who would approve even that which the king is to eat. So this is somebody who was most trusted among those who are working for the king. And so this reveals Nehemiah as an upright person, because not anybody would be chosen to hold that mighty position. And so, as I've said, Nehemiah lived an upright life, and these qualified him to serve as a cupbearer. Again, we get to know that Nehemiah receives a message that his fellow brothers and sisters who are in Judea, that is after they have come from Babylonian captivity, they were subjected to a lot of suffering. Their enemies handled them in ungodly manner. And so when Nehemiah received this message, he felt sorry. And this we can confirm from the book of Nehemiah. From the book of Nehemiah, that is Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, "When I heard all these, I sat down and wept. For several days I mourned and did not eat. I prayed to God." And so, as Christians, how many a times do we feel sorry, or how many a times do we get disturbed because of our fellow Christians, because of our fellow human beings? And this is a character that we see in Nehemiah. And it is the same character that we saw, or that we see in Abraham, when God was now going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And so Abraham felt sorry and asked God that he may forgive the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, if at all he can find those who are righteous within the wicked people. And so I want us to understand something, and my topic for the day is the realities of serving God. This will mark our sermon. The reality or the realities of serving God. Now, we see, or we get to understand that to serve God realistically, we have two aspects that I want us to understand this Sabbath. To serve God realistically, we must learn to wait on Him. Number two, to serve God realistically, we must learn to work with people. And number three, to serve God realistically, we must learn to wrestle wisely with the problems. And so these are the three elements that I want us to look at. And now, what do we mean when we say that we must learn to wait on Him? We must learn to wait on our God. while waiting, we must pray. When Nehemiah received the message about the suffering or the afflictions that his brothers were undergoing in Judea, he felt sorry. And we are told that Nehemiah took 4 months just praying. What do we do as Christians when we are serving God or when we are waiting on Him? As we are waiting for His second coming, what do we do? We are supposed to keep praying. And I think this is what helped Nehemiah, or this is what constitutes to the success of the mission that that Nehemiah had. Because when Nehemiah has received this message about the afflictions that his brothers were undergoing in Judea, he kept on praying. And the essence of his prayer was that at some point when he would go to ask for the opportunity from the king to go and lead a team that will rebuild the walls of Jerusalem that were broken down, that the king would give him the go-ahead. And so we must pray without ceasing. And this is what gave Nehemiah a success. Because we are told that after the 4 months in prayer, in the 4 months of waiting, Nehemiah went to the king and asked the king if the king would allow him to go and offer his services in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem that were constantly being broken down. And we are told that when, at one day or one time when Nehemiah was serving the king some wine, the king realized that Nehemiah was a bit sad, and so he had to question him. He asked him the reason as to why he was sad. And so Nehemiah did not fumble with words. Nehemiah spoke to the king boldly, and he told king whatever afflictions that his people, his lineage or his brothers and sisters were undergoing in the city of Jerusalem. And so the king gave him a go-ahead to proceed with his mission or with his journey to go and support the mission that they had in mind. And before leaving, he asked for 2 things. One, he asked the king that if the king can do him a letter that will enable him cross each and every, like for example, in our situation, I would say to cross from one county to another. And this letter was given to him or was approved by the king. He also asked the king to do him a letter that he's going to present to the one who was in charge of the forest, because as he will be moving to Judea, he wanted to get cut down some trees that they are going to use to build the Jerusalem wall and to build the Jerusalem gate. And we are seeing this, the king allowing Nehemiah on all his requests. And something that is notable, something that would make us, or something that can affirm the fact that Nehemiah was an upright man, the king is asking Nehemiah when he is planning to come back from his mission. In most cases, you realize that if you don't have, or if you don't offer good services to your boss, and you exit maybe a company, your boss will not ask you when you're coming back. He will say, oh, thank you, God, he's left. But this is not the case with Nehemiah. So this is an upright character. We are supposed to serve God in whatever capacity that we have given wholeheartedly, such that even if you ask to exit sin, the members of the church will ask you, when are you coming back? And so Nehemiah is bringing a picture that we are supposed to emulate as Christians. So we must learn to wait on him. And I've said that while waiting on God, we must pray. Nehemiah prayed than anything this world affords today, than to be the king of a vast domain, or be held in sin, dread snare. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. And so Nehemiah was able to exit his position as a cupbearer just to go and offer his services to God. And this is a role, or this is a position that he was not going to earn anything. He was not going to be paid anything. How willing are we as Christians to forgo all, and I mean all, for the service of our God Jesus Christ? We are told that we are supposed to remain steadfast because our God will never forsake us. When we put everything before him, he will always make us victorious. And now we are having a character called Ezra who is joining Nehemiah in the service. And we are now rebuilding our spiritual walls which have been broken down. Which are these spiritual walls that have been broken down? When we look at even our church setup, we don't have true worship. Our worship is not full of wisdom. Our worship is not that which pleases God. And so these are the walls that have been broken down. We're supposed to work towards rebuilding these walls that are constantly being broken down. And how ready are we? Remember, we've said that everything that is presented before God and we trust in him, he will always lead us through. And so we are supposed to be willing to leave all to come and serve God so that we can rebuild these spiritual walls that have been broken down. Our marriages are full of infidelity. We are supposed to ask God to give us the wisdom, to give us the powers to live a life that pleases him in our marriages. And so these are some of the spiritual walls that have been broken down. And just as Nehemiah stated, we are supposed to be patient. We are supposed to pray, and we are supposed to plan. And we are supposed to invite God in our midst, because us, as human beings, in our own capacity, we cannot do anything. But when we welcome our God to be in our midst, to be in our marriages, then for sure I can affirm that we'll be able to rebuild these spiritual walls that have been broken down. Leadership in our churches, we are more of administrators than spiritual leaders. These are some of the walls that we are supposed to ask our God to give us the energy, to give us the powers, so that we can rebuild these broken walls. But remember, as I've said, we cannot rebuild these walls when we trust on our own capacity or when we trust on our own powers. The Lord must always be with us. Our giving nowadays is not interesting. We don't give our tithes and offerings faithfully. These are some of the spiritual walls that have been broken down. And how I ask that God would give us the opportunity to realize that we've wandered far away from him. We have been serving the political kings, and it is a high time that we ask God to give us the opportunity to come and join hands even as we build the walls that have been broken down. Nitakuandama kote na ulinifia kwa neema yako Bwana napenda kuandama, nitakuandama kote na ulinifia. Kwa neema yako Bwana napenda kuandama. And now I want us to confirm something here. That we are supposed to work for God when it is still day. For the night is coming, or the night cometh when no man shall work. We are supposed to work for God when it is still day. For our night is coming when no man shall work. And our night in this context can be when we are sick. As human beings, we are currently faced with a serious pandemic, the COVID-19. So many are wishing that they would get an opportunity to come and congregate together in our churches to praise our God. But we cannot get this time. So this is the night that we're talking about. Just as Nehemiah decided to go and participate in Lord's service, we are supposed to move and make this a reality. We are in the dark moments in our life history, and this is the night. Let us work for the Lord when it is still day, for a night is coming when no man shall work. Our night in this context can be out of old age. At times I encourage our young people to come to the church and join hands in the service, because a night is coming when we shall be old enough. We will not have the energy or even the powers to go for missions. But our God is asking us to come and unite as we rebuild the broken walls when we still have the energy. The night can even be someone's job. So many people, when they are jobless, they tend to be prayerful. But the moment our God blesses them with a job, then the dark moments comes in. And so let us worship our God when it is still day. For a night is coming when no man shall work. As we near to finish our sermon for today, I want us just to have a recap of all this history about this man of God, Nehemiah, because he is an inspiration to all of us and to so many of us, that it doesn't matter whatever capacity that we hold in the system. We can serve our God even if we are not in the mainstream leadership of our churches. And so, Nehemiah shows us the kind of impact one individual can have on a nation. And so Abraham saved the house of Lot. And so an individual's prayer can save a whole nation. At this moment that we are faced with serious or difficult situations, someone's prayer, wherever he is, maybe he can be in Uganda, he can be in Kenya, he can be in Italy, he can be in the USA, but an individual's prayer can change the narrative of the whole world. And so, Nehemiah served in secular offices using his position to bring back to the Jews order, stability, and power. Focus on God. And so we must not hold very high positions for us to deliver or for us to work for God. God uses all manner of people in all manner of places doing all manner of work. And our God will always enable us to be victorious in all that we're doing if we put him first. Do you feel you must be in a ministry in order to serve God? I want to say no. Because when we ask for God's providence in whatever capacity that we may be having in the government or in the churches, our God will always give us the powers to overcome everything. Be encouraged. He is not limited by your vocation. God has placed you where you are with a purpose. Whatever you do, do in word, or be it in word, be it in deed. Do it all in the name of Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father. Tusimame imara katika mwamba wa Kristo pekee, ndipo salamini tutasimama kule kitini pa enzi. This song gives me a lot of courage, because the Jews faced a lot of opposition. And even as they were working, they constantly faced a lot of opposition. But because they were steadfast in the Lord, our God gave them victory. And allow me, ask us as Christians, even in the midst of all these challenges that we are facing, let us remain steadfast in our Lord. And let us always appreciate the fact that we have somewhere that we can run to when we are faced with the challenges. Allow me ask our living God to bless us all and to take care of each and every one of us and enable us to come together to join hands in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. In our context, now we must come up to rebuild the broken walls, our spiritual broken walls. And when we plan, when we wait on him, we are supposed to be prayerful, remain praying. While we are waiting on him, let us develop patience. While we are waiting on him, let us plan, and our heavenly God will bless us, and the broken walls will be brought up, and the name of our God will be glorified. And thank you so much. Thank you. And I would ask us that wherever we are, that we may stand up even as we do our final prayer. Remember, we are serving a living God. We are serving a living master. In the midst of all the challenges, our God will always be with us. Even as we are faced with different calamities, we are supposed to understand that it is written in the Bible that at the end times, we'll be faced with these challenges, but never accept to be swayed away, because we are serving a living God. We are serving a living master who will be with us from now up to the end of the time. Let's believe and pray. Our Heavenly Master, we want to thank you for having enabled us, God, to successfully look through your word. We are human beings, God. We are sinful, God. Allow us, God, to come together, to reunite together, and participate in your work, God, in rebuilding the walls that have been broken down, God. We have got different walls in our spiritual life that are already down, God. And we have our enemies who are constantly fighting us. Even as we try to bring back these walls, God, we get tired and we are confused, God. How I pray that you may give us the energy and the powers that you gave Nehemiah and the team plus Ezra, God. Even as they were facing challenges from people like the situation in Judea, God. How I pray, God, that you may give us the powers to overcome all these challenges. And above all, prepare us for the second coming. And let your will be done in our lives, now and forevermore. For this is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani ndiyo maagizo nazo sheria za Mungu Baba. Sabato sadaka mali yake. Mwili na ndoa ni takatifu, tuzirudie njia za imani. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani wakati ni sasa. Wanaamuru watu wake, tangaza neno la kweli, hata mbingu ikishuka chini. Mwanga mkubwa, mwanga mdogo, iangaze kwa kutawala giza.
Fikiri, Yerusalemu umeanguka, kuta zake zimelala chini, zimekuwa mchanga. Ni huzuni mji ulio mkuu, malango yake yameshachomwa na moto, na Wayahudi wameshikwa mateka. Nehemia kapaza sauti, tazama hali yake, dhaifu tulio nao, gharama nyingi sana. Lakini najua Bwana Mungu anayafahamu yote, lengo lake kuta zisimame, hivyo twawaita.
Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani ndiyo maagizo nazo sheria za Mungu Baba. Sabato ndiyo muhuri, zaka na sadaka mali yake. Mwili na ndoa ni takatifu, tuzirudie njia za imani. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani wakati ni sasa. Wanaamuru watu wake, tangaza neno la kweli, hata mbingu ikishuka chini. Mwanga mkubwa, mwanga mdogo, iangaze kwa kutawala giza.
Ingawa maadui watudharau, hawana nafasi kwenye kazi ni takatifu. Ni ukweli, hatutakata tamaa, hatukukatia walimwengu. Silaha ziko mikononi, na huku tunajenga. Kazi ni kubwa tena ni nyingi, kila moja mbali na mwingine. Kutani tumetawanyika, simama mlinzi, utaposikia sauti za panda na baragumu, kimbia Bwana tushindie, hivyo twawaita.
Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani ndiyo maagizo nazo sheria za Mungu Baba. Sabato ndiyo muhuri, zaka na sadaka mali yake. Mwili na ndoa ni takatifu, tuzirudie njia za imani. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani wakati ni sasa. Wanaamuru watu wake, tangaza neno la kweli, hata mbingu ikishuka chini. Mwanga mkubwa, mwanga mdogo, iangaze kwa kutawala giza.
Ijapo marafiki walegevu wafanya mbinu za shetani kunirudisha nyuma, sitaki sishuke chini kwao. Nilitawezaje teremka, ukuta unasonga juu, mji ulotakaswa. Hivyo tunazipaza sauti, ondokeni miongoni mwao, ukweli upate kusikika, sauti ya unabii. Mungu wa ajabu atafanikisha kazi yake, hukumu inakaribia. Jamani, ninasema
tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani ndiyo maagizo nazo sheria za Mungu Baba. Sabato ndiyo muhuri, zaka na sadaka mali yake. Mwili na ndoa ni takatifu, tuzirudie njia za imani. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani wakati ni sasa. Wanaamuru watu wake, tangaza neno la kweli, hata mbingu ikishuka chini. Mwanga mkubwa, mwanga mdogo, iangaze kwa kutawala giza. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani ndiyo maagizo nazo sheria za Mungu Baba. Sabato ndiyo muhuri, zaka na sadaka mali yake. Mwili na ndoa ni takatifu, tuzirudie njia za imani. Tujenge ukuta unabomolewa chini naye adui, kwani wakati ni sasa. Wanaamuru watu wake, tangaza neno la kweli, hata mbingu ikishuka chini. Mwanga mkubwa, mwanga mdogo, iangaze kwa kutawala giza.